Hey, good evening, everybody, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today is the 24th of August, 2018. We are today talking to Chris UK because he's talking about the field of view is the stars. And Roxanne, Glen is here, Flat Earth Dude is here, and Crrow777. So, good evening, everybody.
Hello, Karen. Hello.
Hello.
Hello there, Karen. Everybody. My connection's a little bad, so I'm going to mute.
Yeah, the reason that we are having this hangout today is because...
Hello there, Karen. Everybody. My connection's a little bad.
Hello, guys. Right. Well, anyway, Chris, the reason that we had this hangout today is because of your experiment. Do you want to explain it a bit more again? And we have Crrow here, so I'm sure he'd like to hear it again.
Right, so do you want me to go from the start of the talk I went through on Harry's video, or are there any basics you want me to go to? I'll go to the basics first. Right, what the experiment shows is that a set field of view, say a square window like this, looking from it from a set distance at the stars, you can gauge the distance of the stars. You can take a photograph of the stars track across the sky through that field of view, and any change in the picture in the field of view will tell you that they're further or closer. You know, like you've got my phone there, it's close, and as it gets further away in the field of view, you see that?
Yeah,
and closer. Yeah, you can measure the distance. There's a change in distance. So I'm saying if the stars are trillions of miles away, through two fields of view, looking in different places, you should see the same image, looking at the same stars. And if there's a change in distance of the stars to one of the points. So if there's 3 stars shown in this one, and this one's 100 miles away, and it's closer, there might just be 2 stars shown in this field of view. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. If we can get a set field of view for everyone to use, so they take a shot through this field of view from a set distance, and everyone shoots the same set of stars, we can work out how far them stars are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know about perspective. We can measure perspective.
Can I just, sorry, Chris, it's me, the Astral Thief, but isn't that just very similar to an astrolabe? Is it called an astrolabe? Yeah,
there's an astrolabe that measures the stars, but it's sort of doing it sideways. I think it's called something else. It's got a sliding bar on it that measures the field of view. You know, like this, like the dam busters used on the 2 towers. That measures the field of view looking through there. So you look through that at the 2 points, and you can measure a distance of that looking through there and lining these 2 bars up. You can set that so that when both sides are so far away, you know the distance to it. So you can measure a change in distance of the stars from 2 points, or the sun, or the moon. So that's what I'm trying, because it doesn't seem like anybody's got anything similar to this where we can use 2 points. We can also track using a telescope. So if you pick a star that's furthest away from Polaris, right, get your telescope and zoom in and focus in on that one star as it comes into view. And then track it without changing the focus or zoom across the sky, noting what the field of view is. You should be able to track it right across without altering the zoom or the focus. And if the image size of the star shrinks or enlarges, you know they're getting farther or closer. So you can just track them across. But what I've shown is 2 points you can judge, and you can find out how far they are actually away using angles. and the distance apart. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the one thing I like
Yeah.
about the experiment that you're doing is that people have already demonstrated, like if I was to take a shot of the sun early in the day and note the size, take another shot of the sun at noon,
Yeah.
then when the sun is setting, people have shown over and over that that it's shrunk. But you see, the argument that the mainstream puts forward is, oh, well, of course the atmosphere is doing that, right? You're looking through more atmosphere as the sun
Yeah.
goes down in the west, which is actually, I don't accept many parts of that argument, but in a way, what you are doing cuts out the possibility for that excuse.
It does. Well, I've got globe guys coming on saying this is an excellent experiment. We'll be able to prove it's a globe now to these flat earthers, but it's going to backfire. They're
Right.
asking me for results from experiments, and I'm saying, well, go and do it yourself and show me your results. So I'm waiting for them to all come back. There's about 5 asking me to join in with them to do experiments. But I said, do you do them?
I'm assuming at some point you get, I don't know, 4 or 5 people together. I'm not much of a math guy, but if I'm not mistaken, you would apply trigonometry to the data that you collect, and then the numbers say what the numbers say, right?
Yeah, I think we need to get a set field of view first. So I've got this. I'm trying to rig out so you can get a P900 on it from a set distance within a set window, and then everyone can take a photograph of the same star. Loads of people can do it at a set time. So we can all say, get your fields of view out, take a photograph with your P900, and take a shot of that set of stars as it's coming across from different places in the world. Whoever can see it. And then you can compare what's through this frame. So if you shoot it, you've got to have the frame in the shot to be a certain distance away from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we can compare all the shots because we can just line up the square. That's what's in the field of view, and compare them all across the board. And we can repeat that. Everyone can do it. Loads of people can get involved, and just send the photographs in, and then we can compare them all where they are and what's happening. So if we get, we've worked out the stars are closer, further away, or whatever from the initial experiments, then we can start working out exactly how far they are. Because we need to calibrate this and work out how to measure the angles from 2 points, how far we need these two apart to measure that. So it's a simple experiment to prove it works, but to get the data is a little bit more complicated. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the great uses for the internet. I think you can probably get people to buy into that. You know, people are going to be shocked when they begin to understand a more accurate model. On the last solar eclipse we had, when I announced that the moon plays no role in solar eclipses, all my years as a stagehand allowed me to realize that since the sun is an infinite light source, any shadow made by an infinite light source will cast a shadow the size of the object that is casting the shadow, which basically proves outright that for all intents and purposes, the sun that we see in the sky is roughly 70, give or take 5-10 miles, I don't know, roughly 70-ish miles across. That is providing the data that we got for the shadow of the eclipse was accurately reported at 70 or 72 miles. But what that proves is, since the sun is an infinite light source, that it's basically 72 miles across.
Only 72 miles across.
If all the data is correct. We were told that the shadow of the eclipse left across, you know, they couldn't tell us why the eclipse shadow was going west to east. There's all these complex excuses to try to make up a scientific reason to back up the fact that you're looking at a solar eclipse where the shadow itself is traveling west to east. But they told us at that time that the shadow being cast was 72 miles across, I think. It's a pretty big if because, of course, NASA and other people who lie for a living are giving us this data. But if that shadow is, in fact, anywhere near 70 miles, that is, in fact, the size of the object blocking out the sun. And since from our point of view, that is the size of the sun, you can see the picture that begins to be demonstrated.
Yeah, I've challenged quite a few globers to do the maths for the eclipse. I said, well, ignore what the size of the sun is, use all the measurements you're given and work out how big the sun should be. And no one's come back with anything. I've done that over quite a lot of times and no one's ever come back to me.
Well, it's ironic the things that we accept as correct. It was almost 4 or 5 years ago that I began to realize I'm being told the moon's about to block out the sun. I was filming every eclipse I could, solar or lunar. And on the last 2 solar eclipses I did, I said to myself, look, if they're going to claim the moon is 340,000 miles away, yet the sun is 9 million miles, then we absolutely should be able to detect the moon coming towards a solar eclipse because it is backlit by the brightest thing we can imagine called the sun. You can't do it. I used full spectrum tools. I used a telescope. I used powerful telephoto lenses. I used a light obliteration. And I did that over 3 solar eclipses. And on the last one, I announced the moon plays no role in a solar eclipse. It doesn't. It's not the moon doing it.
All right. Any ideas what is?
I like the idea of the old Indian, maybe Hindu ideas where they refer to nodes. I'm not an expert at that, so I probably will not talk that much about it. There are people who know a heck of a lot more, and the problem becomes what I know now on the tail of the last eclipse. Well, we got to wait around for another solar eclipse. Well, I guess we could do some work, but I think what's interesting is the idea of Ketu and Rahu. In the old Indian reckoning astrology methods, they were called what's called nodes. I think maybe that might have legs, but I can't know for sure until we get more eclipses. And you know, you can work out experiments to do, but you cannot detect the moon coming into a solar eclipse, and that is logical nonsense.
Yeah. Do you think the moon's fixed in the firmament as it's moving around?
Well, here's another story. In the 90s, I got my first big telescope. You know, I was a younger person then, and I spent more money than I had to buy a nice big 8-inch tracking telescope that I was going to be in debt for. And there were 2 settings. One setting, a little switch that you would flip, one to watch the stars and track them, one for the moon, because in the manual it told you that the orbital rates, or from your point of view, the orbital rates were slightly different. I can't tell you the number of nights I forgot to put it on moon viewing and yet tracked the moon accurately all night long. And so early on, of course, I thought, well, I don't know enough. That's something I don't understand going on here. And after years of this, I began to say, wait a minute, I can figure this out as well as anyone can. And what I came to understand is this is nonsense. They actually built a switch into a telescope, one to track stars across the sky from equatorial, not polar alignment. So not lined up on the pole star, but just a standard flat plane equatorial tracking, but it would track all the way across. So here we have an actual switch on a telescope, which is completely unnecessary. You could have it in either setting and track either the stars or the moon.
So you can track one set of stars with and set it on automatic right across the sky.
Right.
So, yeah. So do you have to refocus at any time as you're going across? Or it just tracks them right across and it's a clear picture all the way across.
It's a clear picture all the way, and it gets worse than that because I can focus on the moon, which is supposedly roughly, it's over 250,000 miles by the NASA spinning model idea, which I don't accept. But so if we say it's 340,000 miles and I focus on that, the focal plane of my camera on that telescope is roughly at 250,000 miles. Now I swing over to look at, say, Jupiter, which is 500 million miles, or Saturn, which is what, 900 million? I don't even remember. A hell of a lot further, according to them. There's no refocus needed. And so then you start getting into all these arguments about how field of view and, focal lengths work and all. It becomes very high-end math. But my problem is we started focusing my telescope on a mountain that was 3 miles from us and then swinging it straight up to the moon and being in focus.
Yeah, I think Dave Marsh has found the same with his moonshots.
Yeah, the problem is I'm not a big math guy, and so mathematically, I'm never going to really try to demonstrate it because my math skills will never be high enough, but it doesn't really matter. Common sense and logic can demonstrate a thing just as well. The problem being is that science will, of course, demand data. If you want to talk to a science, they always demand data, but even that is ludicrous on the face of it, because anyone can grab a telephoto lens and go look across a body of water and say, hey, wait a minute, I can see too far. As a matter of fact, there are records of people using 25 lighthouses to demonstrate we can see too far for the curvature model to be accurate. And the response from mainstream was clearly the man cherry-picked 25 lighthouses, when on the face of it, that's ridiculous. One lighthouse, one, you can see too far. You can see a light, one, from too far. The curvature model doesn't work. And he provided 25. So this idea that science needs all its data gets a bit tiresome. But the real problem is what you're doing. I like it, because it would be great to wake up one day and have an accurate estimate from my front door to the moon or the sun, because in my view, the stars are right there on the same plane.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to wake people up with a simple experiment they can do to prove it to themselves. And if the blue guys pick on it as well and find out there's something wrong, then that'll be great. Look, create more conversations, hopefully. We'll have to wait and see. Now, there's a lot of interest in this, so we'll see where it goes.
It's not going away, and clearly there's a lot of effort to maintain the troll base within the Flat Earth community. I really appreciate what a lot of people in this community do. I don't think the models that I've seen are going to cover what we actually find to be accurate. That's why I use the word plane. I think we're going to find that we do live on a plane and that it's not the only one. And I will further say, I don't think anybody knows the shape of this place. If you went to the most powerful organization in the world, whatever it would be, and asked what is the shape of this place, they can't tell you. And the reason they can't tell you is because they can't go above the hard fast barrier, which maybe it's hot plasma. I've thought about this. If truly the moon is magnetic and the sun is electric, then maybe what's called the firmament is actually some kind of plasma superheated, which would also answer, whenever you see a movie, something coming back into the atmosphere has to burn up, or you're told space rocks. There's another good one. So here a rock comes in from space, and all of a sudden it comes into your field of view, and that sucker's on fire and it burns up before it hits the ground, just from friction in the air. When the real truth is if that was really going on, you would see it begin to glow, and you would see it glow, 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 glow until it got as hot as it could. And the idea that a stone could burn up before it hit the ground, I mean, common sense brings to bear these things. My point being is, if it is true, no human being has been above our atmosphere and no machine, then truly nobody knows what the shape of this place is.
I've been in the countryside and heard meters go past, and it sounds like a fizzling firework. Doesn't sound like a rock flying through space.
Well, lately, this is what happened when I was heavy into filming. I'm sorry, am I stepping all over you? I can't tell. We got a bad connection here. I hope I'm not walking on you. When I got big into filming, and it was roughly 2014, we started to notice a similar thing with supposed asteroids or meteorites burning up, which I don't accept, that we saw with comets. When I was young in the 90s and I could name any picture of any comet that was historically significant just by looking at the picture, even if it had come around more than once, I could recognize most comets because most of them have a look. They were always white or blue. In the modern era, when I started filming again in 2012, 2013, all the comets began to turn green. But we noticed a thing about the rocks, the supposed rocks that are burning up in our atmosphere, which is utter nonsense. They became pastel, many pastel greens, pastel kind of peach colors. But another thing we noticed is a lot of them appeared to be a couple thousand feet off the ground and level to the ground, traveling level to the ground. And that's not a possible thing either. If something is coming in from space, for it to travel any distance completely level with the ground, you can see the problem here. And they burn out very quickly. They're usually in view. I can't tell you how many hundreds of these things I've seen, maybe thousands, I don't know. In my entire life of using telescopes, there are very few nights when you don't see at least one. And on some nights you see all kinds of them. And it's nothing coming in from space. In my view, we live in a closed system. Nothing can come in from what's called space.
So what do you think the Libyan glass is?
Say that one more time, please.
The glass, is it Libyan glass? Do you think it's part of the firmament?
My best guess at this point, and this is a big ass guess, is that it's superheated plasma, and that's based on my acceptance that the sun is in fact electric and the moon is in fact magnetic. And I'll take that a step further. From my point of view, the only force we have is electricity. That's it. There are no nuclear weapons. All these things are nonsense. What we have is electricity, and that is the father of magnetism. So basically we have electricity and electromagnetism. And when I started from that direction to try to figure out what that hard, fast barrier was, the easiest explanation for me became that it might be superheated plasma. But until I have a magic airplane that will drive me up there so I can stick my hand out the window, who knows?
Did everybody see my? Well, it's not actually my video. I only mirrored it, but the one with the stars, when that balloon goes up to 17 kilometers, and you can see the stars below the balloon on the camera. The stars are below, so they're not even. They're about 15 miles. They start the stars start, but we don't fly 15 miles up, do we? In a commercial.
I haven't seen.
We're flying. Hang on a minute, Astral.
Sorry.
We're flying 7 miles up, aren't we? Those stars are another 7, 8, 9, 10 miles above that, aren't they? Still.
I was going to say.
Well,
Sorry.
Kilometers, rather, should I say?
I was going to say I've not seen that one, but something that I have seen that's totally, it just defies, explanation in a sense. The one where the sun is inside the clouds,
That, I can address that. I get so many videos sent to me where people are saying things like, look, the moon is in front of the clouds, or the sun, or these things. And almost, well, to this point, 100% of everything I've been submitted is because they don't understand the camera's exposure. If you point a camera at the sun and the image you are taking is overexposed, in other words, the sun is too bright, if a bird flies between you and the sun, it will appear that the bird goes behind the sun. The same thing in every example I've seen, exposure has been the problem. And believe me, when the lunar wave was like front and center in this world, how many videos I got sent trying to demonstrate what you're talking about. The first thing you should always look at is the exposure level. If you're looking at the moon, you should be able to see all the craters clearly. It should not look like a ball of light. If it looks like a ball of light, it's overexposed. The sun's a bit more difficult. If there's sunspots, that's a good way to know. If you're not overexposed, you'll see the sunspots. Most people will need a filter to point their camera at the sun for any length of time. And most camera sensors are not set up to deal with something as bright as the sun. But whenever you see a video like that and a claim made, the very first go-to explanation should be exposure. And almost, for me, 100% of the time, that has been the issue.
So why do you think the guys with telescopes aren't seeing what we're seeing with our P900s? Like we're seeing orbs, flashing orbs, changing colour, and they're coming back with solid. Is that their exposure level? They're just going looking for that, and so they're not seeing what we're seeing.
When you introduce technology, you open up the door to 1.5 million arguments. I have, in fact, well, back in the day, I used to do these defocus tests. So I'd pick a bright star like Aldebaran or Sirius, and I would defocus it. And that's where you really begin to see the color spectrum. The mainstream ideas about what's in space tell us that you can tell the difference between a planet and a star, whether it's twinkling. Why the light from a planet wouldn't twinkle by their description, I can't tell you. But the idea here is that it's coming through the atmosphere. So in the same way, when you film the moon rising, it always has that ripply underwater look. The true reason for that is you're looking through a lot more atmosphere. When the moon gets up about 30 or 40 degrees, it becomes a clearer view and your seeing gets better. So when you look at a star, and I've filmed many where you can see every color in the rainbow coming off Sirius or Aldebaran, the star looks orange to your eye. If you take a picture of Aldebaran, it will look orange to your eye. But when you focus it, all these colors come off. When you defocus it, every color in the rainbow comes off, and you get, if you look carefully, you'll see cymatic patterns, the same patterns you see in cymatics. It looks like the same patterns you will see if you disturb the water in a pool at night that has a pool light. Those patterns are what you will see. So the problem that you're asking me involves technology. And so there are endless field of view options and, you know, settings on a camera with no telescope. So things close will be out of focus, things further will be in focus. There's all these variables, but I can tell you factually, if I take my telescope out today, take the eyepiece off, put my camera on it, pick any star in the sky, focus it in tight, almost every one of them will give me the colors of the spectrum. If I defocus it, every one of them will give me a cymatic pattern with nearly every color in the rainbow. Some stars don't have as many colors. Some stars, blue or red, will be more prominent. And that's what I can tell you from firsthand experience.
Do you put these images up anywhere, Crow?
Yeah, if you go to Crrow777 on YouTube and go back before my podcast, which is up to about 122. There's lots of telescope work there, and you can scan back. I think there's some where even the thumbnail of a defocused star is there, and you can see the work that I've done here and there, just showing stars and other things.
Right, I'll have a look. Thank you.
Matter of fact, I think I have one up of Sirius and one up of Aldebaran, and you can notice right off that Aldebaran has a more orange hue to it, even when defocused. But nonetheless, it gives you those cymatic patterns, and you do see the refraction of endless colors. It's really a strange thing to get a high magnification on a star and then defocus it and just watch. It gives you a view that your eye could never give you.
Right.
But there are different stars up there, aren't there? Some of them only shine like a bit like Flat Earth Dude's logo, and some of them are multicolored anyway, aren't they? If you know what I mean. Even on my little iPhone, I can pick up those, you know, the colors.
Well, your eye will tell you that. Yeah, your eye will tell you that. If you look in Scorpio, you'll see a very yellowish, you know, the eye of the bull is orange. Sirius is more like a blue diamond. Your eye will tell you that there are all kinds of different colors. The ancient astronomers that I've read, like Manilius, they used to judge color as part of the influence. In other words, if I could look at a star and it was red, chances are that was a negative influence, like the planet Mars. Here's one for you. If you go out tonight and look in your southeast sky or your southern sky, you will see a very orange, bright orange ball come up. That's Mars that you're looking at. To the right of that some distance is Saturn. To the right of that some distance is a very bright thing that is very clear, crisp light, and that is Jupiter. But Mars is more than double as bright as I've ever seen it. And I know science will come forward with all kinds of excuses of why this is true, none of which I accept, which is my right, having done the firsthand work all these years. I've never seen Mars look anything like it does now. And the idea of Mars to all the ancients was, of course, war, violence, the color of blood, all these ideas. And I began to think, is it possible that what I accept are luminaries? All these things we're looking at up there are luminaries. The ancients told us the truth. Is it possible that as above, so below is so striking that as the human consciousness in this world is so in disarray and so afraid of terrorism and fear porn and all the negativity that is bombarding us, that it is our actual consciousness that has boosted Mars to such a bright degree? I've never seen it, I mean, 2/3 as bright as it is now. And again, I know all the astronomers will come on and flip me off and tell me about conjunctions and perihelons and all these other things, but I don't accept those things anymore. So those arguments are lost.
Chemtrails affect it? Do you think all those chemtrails, that barium and all the other stuff in it, do you think that will affect how we see things?
It's never going to make a thing brighter. You're basically talking about putting particulates, of which some we know are metals, that will diffract light. So it would have the opposite effect from a common sense point of view. It would be like putting mud in water, right? Trying to look at light through water. The more particulates you put in, the dimmer the light would become.
Yeah, that's true. And you're saying it's getting brighter. Wow.
Not just a little bit brighter, brighter on so much. Like I have shots. You can go to my channel, early shots of Mars. Some of my earliest videos of Mars. Mars is a weird duck. So we're told that Mars, I forget the distance, I won't even try to guess, but Mars is, we're told, quite a bit closer than the 400 or 500 million mile away Jupiter. I can get a sharp focus on Jupiter almost any given night. It's high enough in the sky. There is never really a night where I can get a perfect sharp focus on Mars ever. And it's one of the closest things to us. None of it makes sense.
Have you got any theories on the Great Awakening, the prophecy?
Well, I think that the people who run this show, who provide us with so much BS to be involved with and so much entertainment to waste our lives with, were aware that it was coming. And for my part, they were aware it was coming because they never lost the old information from the natural sciences, alchemy, the true astrology, not the joke astrology we have now, that told them the truth about the sky clock. We're all growing up. We're like everything else in this world. We're going to reach a higher consciousness. It really broke open hard around the year 2000. And of course, we see the nonsensical events like 9/11 thrown down right at these times to mislead the human consciousness. But for lack of a better description, we're all, I don't like the word evolving, but that's basically what it is. We're going to a higher consciousness right now, and the powers that be are doing everything in their power to try to get us to believe in things that have no reality.
Do you think the powers that be might be two parts, where they're trying to have the Great Awakening and the other half are battling not to have it? Because it's a prophecy and they live by prophecies.
Nah, the people who run this place are so many times smarter than the average person you'll meet on the street. They've already taken advantage. But you see, from my point of view, I think there's a good chance they sold their souls along the way to do what they're doing. Any human being, the universe doesn't care about good and bad. The universe is not going to stop one day and say, you know what, that bunny in that field is just so damn cute, I'm not going to let that fox kill it. That's never going to happen. There will never come a day. The fact that that fox killed that rabbit is the design. The fox has to kill the rabbit to live. And so the idea of good and bad as viewed from a human is not the natural system. Every human being can choose to be Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, to use a very cheesy, lame analogy from a movie I don't care much for. If a person wants to be dark, that is their choice. That is their right. But you see, there's trade-offs in life. If I come to be a young human being and I decide for my entire life I want to do things to benefit humanity, that is a different outcome than a person who decides I will do everything selfishly for myself. And the chances are that the powers that be have hurt so many things, nature, people, endless things we could point to. What are the chemtrails doing to this place? Not just people, but everything, that they've paid a price. I don't know for sure what happens when we leave here, but I would not be surprised to learn that when these guys are done, they're truly done. And it would not surprise me to learn that they live a lot longer than we do.
Yeah. Well, I think things are coming out about the child abuse and satanic stuff now. A lot more people are awake than ever. I know I'm more awake to it, probably more than I really want to be, but there's a lot coming out.
I don't watch that stuff. It serves as fear porn. I don't watch news. I don't, when anything happens in the world, I have to wait to get an email from someone. And then half the time I say thanks, and then I don't go look at it. I don't care anymore about the constructed nonsense.
Yeah,
but,
when you've woken up and you see things differently, Crow, Chris,
well,
everybody on the panel, everything
maybe I'm aware,
anyway, doesn't it?
Maybe I'm aware. I'll give you that. I'm an aware person. If I was truly all the way woken up, I doubt if we would have this conversation right now. There would be no need for me to have it. But I will say these old ideas that Hollywood has pushed off and folk tales, there's truth in all of them. The idea of vampires. Don't ignore the idea of vampires. It is telling you a very important thing about the shadowy forces in our world that can't stand the light of day. And it does. They've known for eons that if you take the blood from a young child and transfuse it into an old person, they get a big bump quick because that's young blood they're putting into them. You can even go watch things on Netflix like that, the series The Borgia, about the Pope Borgia, Pope Alexander, who was a Borgia, who was probably a crypto Jew as well, who was also from Spain. in his ancestry. They show one of the popes dying. What do? They bring in a pregnant lady to breastfeed a dying pope who's like 80 years old. These things have been known for a long time. It's just that in the modern context, most people don't think about these things or don't think it's anything more than folk tales. But all these things have meaning in them.
I think that you're right. There's a lot of truth in this.
Food for everybody else, then, isn't it? Really, one way or another, we're just food.
Well, sure.
Or
Look, the corporatization of food has turned the United States into basically the laughing stock. In my lifetime, the United States has went from a place everyone wanted to be and everyone admired to a laughing stock. And a big part of that is the corporatization of food, because everyone is malnourished. They're fat, but they're malnourished at the same time. It's a full spectrum press. But you see, we can sit here and cry about the powers that be doing these horrible things, but no one forces you to call the pizza guy tonight. You know, nobody forces you to do these things. And that's how they get away with it. Culture convinces you to do these things. But if you look 20 years ago, you know, when I was in my teens, when we went out to eat, that was a rare damn day. When my family went out to eat a meal, that was like once every few months, maybe. That was a big deal. But culture has been changed so much by television and media. I would estimate that the average person listening to this has either ordered food in or eaten out more times this week than they've cooked for themselves. And that kind of a cultural shaping on its face has a huge effect on the people who submit to these ideas. And again, nobody's forcing them to do it. They're just watching TV and deciding, well, this is what's normal now. Well, there's nothing normal about it to be unhealthy and fat and malnourished. And that's what's come of all this.
Not good, is it, really? But is that when we wake up or become aware, you just see everything differently? That's the whole thing, isn't it? Things that are more important to you, like the space is a really hard one for people, because now they realise it's fake, and yet they love whatever it was, you know, from Space 1999 right up to whatever. So when now you know it's different, all right, we just don't, I'm not interested anymore. We don't want to watch it.
Well, for a lot of people, I think it's like the 5 stages of grief. People react differently, but you get beyond these things. Yeah, it's a tough day if you have to learn that your best friend is actually your worst enemy. And to some people, that's what this feels like when you understand what music is about, when you understand what the movies and television have been doing. And you were a person who loved music or loved movies, and you come to understand the whole reason for Star Trek in 1966 was to convince your mind that's what a spaceship looks like in space, orbiting a planet, doing all these things. Then in 77, Star Wars, it's the whole purpose for these things. And when you come to the realization, it's like anything else that's not easy, you know, you get over it.
Well, I was born in 1960, and I've been through the whole brainwash, and I found out about this, and I thought, great, brilliant, fantastic, it's going to be better. I didn't feel sad or anything.
Well, that's a good way to go. You're slightly older than me by a couple of years, but I will tell you that probably the truth of it is if any of these things we've done matter, the people who get the benefit, getting closer to reality, will probably be standing on your shoulders, and you may not have benefited in the way they will. But that's if all this works. That's if enough people find value in it and don't let it get steamrolled, because certainly every textbook is not being rewritten. As we sit here doing the show, Hollywood is not redoing how they put out their movies. So what it comes down to is, does the work we do matter enough to make a change? If it does, I imagine it'll be the next generation or two that see much benefit from it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
That's not a bad place to be in history. You know, if someone stood on your shoulders to get a big gain, then that's a pretty nice place to have been.
Yeah. So the work we do now will be remembered, hopefully, to awake for the future.
I always imagine someone, 50 years from now, when censorship has really come to bear, someone digs around and finds an old thumb drive in their sock drawer and they find, you know, episode 100 from Crrow777 radio, and that ends up making a difference. You don't know, but, you know, you got to try, don't you? You got to do what you can.
I suppose it's the old butterfly.
I'm sure loads of people know who you are already, Crow.
Well, that was an accident too. I filmed a lunar wave by accident, and it became a worldwide thing very quickly. I never intended to do any of that. So even in that, there is a tell. Things happen when it's time for things to happen.
And now look, you've got a very successful podcast, don't you?
Well, we have our ups and our downs. There's never a week go by when someone's not kicking the fence down, but we do what we can.
Anyway, well, from all of us, Chris.
Yes.
You want to carry on a little bit more because we've got Crow here with your with what obviously your experiment.
Well, has there any people asked any questions or stuck on the idea, or they weren't quite clear on anything?
I think people weren't clear. Would like you to I'll go on you, Crow, to explain it again. I think.
Well, what I was going to say is you sent me a video of his gate experiment, and I think that was the most clear, concise demonstration that I saw, and I think the average person who sees that clip and thinks about it will understand what's going on.
Yeah, have you not seen the new one with the field of view?
Yes, that's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
There's two.
Yeah.
There was two. I like the gate one a lot because it gives a person a chance to, because you can't just watch it and say, oh, I understand. You have to think about what you're watching, and then you have the aha moment, and I think that's a valuable moment.
Yeah, I think it's woke a few people up, which I'm quite surprised with, because it's just getting people to think about where they live. The majority of people haven't got a clue how fast the ball spins and how it moves and what happens. No, they don't know, because we speak to people on the streets and they don't understand a thing about the ball they think they live on. So
right. None of the, everything that gets done and the experiments like the ones you're putting forward, they matter, because right now in this world, there are countless engineers who are starting to wonder, how come when I did these surveying things, I never calculated for curvature? And they start to go home privately and do the math, and they begin to realize there's a problem here. When they begin to look at things like the Great Panama Canal, and they begin to calculate how high the water would have to be in the center of that for the curvature model to be true, these things aren't going away. So it's a bit ironic that we can walk out with a telephoto and say, hey, look, I'm shooting this thing that you can see on Google Earth is 15 miles away from me. That's too far. And that's not enough for people. So you got to keep piling bricks on in any clever way you can figure to do so.
Yeah, if you weigh 10 up, that's job done, I suppose. 10 at a time.
Well, I'll tell you what, thank you guys for having me on. I had a few minutes here. I've got an endless box of emails I've got to get through. I wanted to come put in some time while I could. Chris, thank you so much. I thought your videos were great, and I hope to see the data when you get other people involved.
I will do. Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Crew.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, Crow.
Hey, well, there you go. You've got Crrow777 support there, Chris.
Oh, lovely. Brilliant. I was quite surprised. Starstruck.
Yeah. Well, see, people are listening. Chris. Hey, one out.
Starstruck.
Yeah. Well, see, people are listening. Whoever that is. Is that you, Mike? It's Mike. With Mike Helmick just joined us.
Greetings, everybody, and flat earthers. How you doing?
Hey,
Hello, Mike. Hi.
Hello, Mike.
Hello. That's Hillbilly for how are you doing? Hey, guys. Wow, amazing.
Astral, we have Roxanne and a house full of flat earthers. We have Patricia, you, Flat Earth Dude, and obviously Chris UK, who's experiment. But I just say you just missed Crow. He just went the moment you came in.
Oh. Hi, Mike.
How you doing? Am I coming in
So you've
clear?
watched. You are indeedy.
Awesome.
You've watched my video, haven't you? Because obviously his video, his experiments, it's gaining people interest, isn't it?
Crows?
Well, Chris's. We were here for Chris's, but Crow came
Oh
in to
yeah,
talk.
yeah. I was watching. I was just doing some things. Yeah, amazing, amazing, Chris. Awesome.
Thank you.
You know, and all we can do is keep making observations, comparing it with the standard model handed to us from childhood, and then draw different conclusions, right?
Yeah. I was
And
getting
that's what you do.
7,000 views up to now, so that's not bad for me, for us anyway.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just keep getting the word out. I got a question here in chat. Can I read it? By Free Ball and Chains. Free Ball and Chains in chat. He says, I have a question. I only see lights bouncing off chemtrails, blanket about 50 miles up. What are the bouncing lights? What are the bouncing lights? Has anybody seen Austin Bennett, his live? He's running for Senate. And he's running for Senate because he wanted to stop the chemtrail and he wanted to stop the vaccines with the dangerous levels of mercury in them. He wanted to stop geoengineering. Okay, so he was running for California Senate, and that was the ticket he was riding on. Now, unfortunately, when it came time to vote, these criminals didn't even put his name on the ballot.
Oh.
Didn't even get his name on the ballot. But he talks about some of this stuff. He was running for Senate. He had professors working with him, and this should interest you, Karen. He said all the weather in the UK is now geoengineered. They have taken complete control of the weather in the UK from he said all his reports.
Yeah. Well, the heat we had
Wouldn't surprise me with the map.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you?
No, the amount of ribbed clouds I've seen up here, chemtrails, you know, in stacks, you know, in layers, and just those ribbed clouds, just days and days of, you know, when they're harping. I even know which ones are the harp clouds because they've got these ridges in them. They're weird.
All right, so lights in the sky with chemtrails. Here's what people are going to see. They're going to start seeing ball lightning. Ball lightning because they're screwing with the magnetic field for weather modifications. This is why the states had 11 states flood recently. And I don't know what they think they're doing. They probably don't know what they're doing, but they're wreaking havoc with our electromagnetic field right now. And so probably when you see a lot of chemtrails, if you see like lights flashing above or something, it's just probably the effects of plasma.
Considering we live in a plasma place, we have plasma in our body.
Absolutely, and you know all storms are ionic. They're all electrically charged, magnetically and electrically charged. So we're going to start seeing more of those. More and more pictures of suns with double rainbows. More and more pictures coming out there where the sun splits in half momentarily, then comes back. You know, well, the sun's not really doing that. It's just the magnetic field that light has to propagate through is all wavery and screwy now. So we're seeing a lot of crazy stuff out there. Yeah, if you guys have heard Austin Bennett, he was going after the vaccines. He was going after the geoengineering. He talked about how they're making plants now that are resistant to the chemtrails, but normal plants are not, and they're going to start dying off. He talked about DNA plants and stuff mixed with petroleum, calling them fibers. You'd have to listen to exactly how he said it, but we have a disease now called Magellan. And it's just been just showed up in the last 10 years of people growing fiber out of their skin. and they don't know what causes it. But I think it's a geoengineered side effect from people's systems not able to accept all the spraying in the bioengineered foods that they're producing.
Makes sense, wouldn't it? Because they haven't tested it out properly to know what it's going to do to the population. Not really, not long term.
They haven't tested anything. That's the thing. They don't test nothing. Unless we're the test subjects. I mean, you know, we're probably the test subjects, so. But if you guys not heard Austin Bennett, I got his live thing. It's in, I put it in the link description there. If you guys not heard Austin Bennett, he busts these people out and what's happening, and I put the link description in chat. It's really scary because he's had a lot of professionals go out and find this information out for him because he was running for Senate. He wanted his facts straight. And some of the things he said is just like really messed up, you know, he talked about 5G in there and what that's going to happen. You know, in case people in chat don't know what 5G is, your microwave will cook your turkey at 2.4 gigahertz of power, okay? 5G is going to be broadcast in the public at 60 gigahertz, all right? So that'll just give you an idea of how high they're going to pump these microwaves so that we can cook while we're watching our video just a tad bit faster.
Yeah, great. None of us want that 5G really, what it's going to do to the people. Plus, they're sticking those things. They're sticking those, you know, cell towers on top of water towers, aren't they? So that's not good, is it?
None of it's good. None of it's good. You know, get these things to a water tower. Well, I guess we're going to have hot water coming out of the tap, aren't we? They're going to boil it. It's crazy.
Are they not putting them on lampposts as well?
Oh, Morgellons. Thank you for the correction. I was just doing a study on it. And thank you for the correction, Snake Jones. Morgellons. Yes, Morgellons. Google it. It's creepy.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Mike. Always such a that was a really happy little conversation there. It sounds horrible, doesn't it? We had the guinea pig.
Yeah, I didn't mean to come and bring doom or nothing. I'm sorry. I'm just, you know, a lot of cool things are going on Earth right now. I heard you guys saying, well, in a couple decades, you know, maybe, you know, to look back and open, you know, that Crow video. Folks, I don't think we have a couple decades. I really don't. Just the way things are going right now and the things we've tracked and have witnessed, and some things Karen has had people on here seeing some crazy stuff. I don't think we have decades. I think things are going to start coming apart pretty quickly here. And
So what does
Karen,
that mean? What does that mean then?
What's what?
What do you mean by that then? What? It's the end?
Well, well, the end of how we're living now. Yes, I think this weather modification's gotten completely out of control. Come to find out, NASA, you know, they use Midol to put. I won't go into all that, but NASA has weather predicted for the next several years. Why? Because they're now controlling it through the NOAA and those programs. It's crazy, but what's happening is they've messed with Earth's natural way of doing things, and now our magnetic field is way out of whack. And so when our magnetic field's way out of whack, we're going to see tidal waves, we're going to see flooding. We see lots of volcanic activity because, you know, with plasma, like we saw in Hawaii, plasma is going to build up. Our magnetic vortices are going to rotate the wrong way, which is going to cause a buildup of static electricity and charge. Electricity finds its lowest, least resistance, which is the ground. It's going to build up in the caverns there. It's going to cause earthquakes, volcanoes, tidal waves, all kinds of cool stuff. And crazy weather patterns, of course, which we've all experienced and witnessed.
Great. Nice. I'm really looking forward to that, right?
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Exciting.
Well, sorry guys. You know, I didn't mean to come in here.
Yeah,
You know, we can talk about.
man.
Yeah.
Such a bummer, man. I got this song, You Can Feel It All Over. That Stevie Wonder song, man. I just heard it. And that got stuck in my head. Anyway, I had to share that. No, it's good, Mike. Yeah, I don't think we have much time. Wasn't it Agenda 21, or isn't that a thing?
I don't. If it's
as in like the year, maybe 2021.
Yeah, if it's a Christian prophecy, it's probably wrong.
Yeah, so I don't know. Just you hear all Agenda 2019. I don't know. It's you hear everything, so we'll never know for sure. But obviously, we can see a lot of things are happening, and it's not good. Most of it's not good.
Yeah,
people are not happy.
No, just from our observation from the sky, we're getting all kinds of strange pictures now. The sun skipping, the sun blowing up, just crazy stuff. But it's the magnetic field. It's the way light's propagating through it.
Totally sky trails today. Totally, I don't know, a couple months. It's ugly.
So, somebody here quoted the scripture. Yeah, they quoted a scripture in chat. Yeah, except those days would be shortened. Yeah. So I don't know how short they're going to be.
On a happier note now, back to seeing how far away the stars are.
Yeah, that's a good question. We can debate the star distance. I already told you what Karen B, Flat Earth Core, what we found about the moon and the sun. As you approach the moon, or if you were to take Stellarum, for example, and you were to travel north in Stellarum and head towards the moon starts to rotate. And that's because Stellarum is not based on a heliocentric model. Stellarum is based on a model that reflects observations. So they're not even using a globe Earth model because you can't. The globe Earth model does not reflect anything observable. And so, so the moon's rotating as you're approaching it, going from north to south. It takes about 2,000 miles once you cross the equator for it to flip 180 degrees. And does not do that unless you're near the equator, east and west. So there's no, so that told us something about the moon and the sun. There's no zenith point. And the zenith point is just that imaginary place on the moon where you would pass underneath it to where it would flip over, much like putting a poster on your wall and walking underneath it. The moon does not do that. The moon also should not be rotating as we approach it from north to south, because mountains in the distance while you're driving don't rotate as you approach them, right? And so that told us one thing, that the moon is a light propagating through a polarized field. And depending on where you're at in the polarization of that field, you're going to view a slightly different moon than somebody, say, next to you or 10 miles away. And we discussed this before, Karen. That's why we all get our little separate ray on the water that meets us personally, and the person will have their own little sun ray come down on the water and meet them. It's simply because both people are standing in slightly different polarizations of how light's propagating to their eyes. So how far are the stars away? I don't know, but they are projections of some kind, and so is the sun and the moon. They are projections of some type where their light waves are very powerful. The sun's a very powerful magnetic positive wave, and that wave comes through our electromagnetic field, and so that's why when I showed Karen that picture of the moon, we can see the moon right above the clouds, giving light to the clouds. But when you put a filter over that at 37,000 feet, the moon disappears. It looks like, and it's way out in the distance. It looks like a big flashlight, like a beam of light. And so everything seems to be projected onto our electromagnetic field and atmospheric surface. Job chapter 38 says that the Earth's atmosphere is like a big magnifying lens. So how far away, I don't know, but my guess is not very far away. From where our actual projection point is, it could be on top of the clouds. I know you guys mentioned people say, well, I can see clouds behind the sun and behind the moon. Crow gave a good example, and probably what he said would account for a lot of that, but I don't believe it counts for all of it. When we see clouds behind the sun and moon, that is just an exposure issue. I've seen some videos where I thought the same thing. It might be exposure, but then again, no, that those clouds are behind the freaking sun and moon. And so the only way that can happen is that the sun and moon are not actually there, but it's just the point of where it's projected from that person's perspective. Anybody got something to say? I've been running on.
Thank you, Mike. Well, Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, like then you've got anything to say. Obviously, we're here for your experiment. So,
Yes.
Thing is, if it's true what he's just said, it's going to be very hard to prove anything if it's all projections all over the place.
Well, all right.
Do you want me to go through my field of view experiment that I hope a lot of people grab hold of and have a go at using to prove some things to themselves? Maybe get the distance of the stars. You might have some ideas on it. So you've seen the videos of the two fields of view, yeah? And what's in the field of view, yeah. We can judge the distance. So say if we're in space, we should, with two fields of view, trillions of miles away stars, see the same image if we're looking at the same three stars. We should see the same. Yeah, so if we're on Earth on a flat plane, looking from two set fields of view, if the stars are over here, that distance, the fields of view, will change. We'll get a smaller image of the stars within the set field of view. And when the stars are directly over you, the distance is the same, and therefore the two fields of view will be the same. And then you can measure that, the angles here, that distance, and work out the height of what you're looking at, or what the projection is. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Sounds pretty awesome, sir.
So it's just, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible so people can get a P900 on a platform, get a frame, and shoot loads of images and get them all together just to find out if they're close, far, how close they are, how far they are. We can get the person who shot it, their position, map it all out, and try and work out what things are. I think if it's projection onto a screen, we can work out with this roughly how the screen is moving around us. It is projection. It's just working out how our camera works on this, how to set up a P900 on this field of view. Because I need to know, is it the sensor on a P900 that you need to space to, or is it the lens end? Because I don't know that much about cameras, to be honest, and where to position it and how to set this out. So I can do a Blue Peter on it and say, right, make this and go and do some shots and send them into the website and explain how to take the shots and make it as simple as possible so school kids can go out with the mum's P900. Every flat earther's got a P900, so I think that's the best camera for us to use. And just get it and see what happens, see what comes back, and see what we can work out from that. So I'm trying to get this set out in a form where we can use our P900s to actually gather evidence of where we are and possibly how far the stars are. So we can work out it works or not. I think it will work. There's no reason why it shouldn't. And then we could get more accurate readings and actually get more accurate plan of what's around us, what the projection is. So I think the stars are the easiest one to work on if we can see them. Then we can move on to the moon and the sun and try and work that out. So, because there's no one actually, there's a massive community of people all over the world, but we're not getting together and putting data together. So all this big, massive team of people we've got all over the place, we could use that to gather information. And this is a form way where people can say, it's a uniform frame, set field of view, people shoot through that, and then give all the data in. and then we can all together try and work out where we are. That's what I'm trying to do, make it as simple as possible for us to find the difference. I think this is getting there. It's just getting this right. I'm doing a blue pizza, like I said, say, right, this is the plan, do that, take half an hour to put together, and go and shoot it and see what happens, and send it back to us. So, but it's going to take more than just me. It's obviously it's coordination for different people around the world, taking photographs and sending them in. Possibly get Dave Marsh involved. He loves his moon shots, and other people who love the data to analyze it all, analyze the photographs, and just put it all together and see what we get back. So, any questions?
So, what is it you want from people to take their own photographs? What comes with well, I think compass reading.
Yeah, well, what we can do, we can say one night, right, we want a shot of the plough because it's high in the sky from everyone who can see it all around the world. If you can see the plough, shoot it through a set field of view and see what comes back, because whatever comes back will tell you the distance it is from that person. So if the plough is taking up all the field of view in one place and it's very small in another field of view, obviously it's closer to the guy with it taking up most of the space than the one who's taking up less space.
Can I say one thing, Chris? I know that a lot of Americans in Arizona, when they see the Big Dipper, it's huge in their sky. And when it bends down, like that first corner, say, it goes out of their field of view for a while and then eventually comes back up in the sky. It never disappears out of my sky, and it goes around my house. But when I went to Denmark, I had found my friend to go and see the Big Dipper. It was still quite big, but it was right over there. Like, hang on a minute, it goes around my house, but I have to go down, and she's more north, supposedly, about a place that's like, it's Denmark. It's Denmark. You have to go sort of over there to look at the Big Dipper, but it goes around my house. So doesn't that mean we're more north? I don't know. I can't work all this out.
The only way we can work it out is together. I think if we can do this and set a reference to where every photograph is the same reference, and we can look at them through a set field of view, maybe a bigger frame of view, we can judge what the Big Dipper is doing. We can find out just through a set field of view. So everyone is taking the same image, the same size image. As long as you do a shot and that frame's in the shot, you're taking the same field of view shot from a set distance. So everyone who's got a P900 can take a photograph and have the same shot. We can compare. So that's what I'm trying to do, make a uniform experiment that everyone with the P900 can get involved in and send the images in, and we can analyze and work out. The other thing I'm saying,
with America, in Arizona, they see the Big Dipper much bigger than us. It's stretched right across the sky, and then it disappears. They don't see it for maybe an hour. Whereas in the UK, well, where I am, it doesn't disappear field of view. So how would that work then with what we're doing? Because they see it so differently to us anyway.
Well, I've got a theory that actually, like, it's projection, but it's the screen shape that's making us see what we see. How it moves around.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I just say something? If you think about it like this, Karen, right? Take a piece of clear, well, like glass, imagine, and if you were to put that shape, you know, the constellation, what it is, as dots on that piece of glass and hold it above your head. If you take it from left to right, you're going to see a difference in the shape that you're observing, if you understand what I mean. It's not going to be the same shape the whole time that you're looking at it, is it? It's going to alter as it moves. Sorry, go on.
Because it's a projection, and you'll see it a different shape, but you should see it the same shape if it's a trillion miles away. Everyone should see it the same shape. And if it's a projection and you see it from the side, it will change the angles of the stars and it'll be slightly different. So we can gauge and work all that out. That's what I'm trying to say, a uniform way of taking an image of the stars. Everybody can use and compare. everyone's zooming in and zooming out and taking different angle shots of different things, where we all concentrate and do the same shot with a set field of view. Then we can use that to compare everyone's photographs who use the same method to work out where we are, whether it's in California, in the desert, that stars look massive and stay around and work their way around. I don't think it's a dome. I think it must have wrinkles in it to have that effect of it moving about in strange ways. Like the Big Dipper, the camera moving around. To projection, it's hitting a wall. Because you can projection onto a wall on a surface, and as you move around the room, it seems to wobble about because it's the surface it's being projected on that's making it look as if it's wobbling. So we can work all this out. It's just working together. One person doing it by themselves is not going to be able to work this out. It's going to take a lot of people working together to do it. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Chris, obviously, if people are going to take pictures, where would you like them to send them?
Well, I'm still working this out. So I want to get the set field of view sorted out first, and then we can work on a website. Get someone who's clever with data to be able to sort all this out, and images. I can do so much, but I'm not brilliant with data and some software I can use. So we'll get there. But it's working as a team, getting together a team of people to work this out. So I'll put the idea out there. I'll work on this. I'll work on the teams to get the data centralized, and then get specialist people to look at it, and then just present it to the people to work out for themselves. Well, I think if a school kid could get excited about using this with a camera and choosing the stars, that's a big thing in its own way. And if hundreds of flat earthers are shooting through a set field of view, and I'm sending information in, wouldn't it be so exciting to have a meeting on a Friday and compare what results we found? And we found this is happening, and we're all working off the same hymn sheet. We're all looking at the same thing. This is where we're going to get more powerful results. We've got 4,000 images of the stars through this, and this is our results. How powerful is that? That's what I'm trying to say. We can all use the same method of shooting the stars, and it's not a complicated method to use.
Do you want to get a web page then?
Well, it's quite easy to get a web page, and I'll get an email and get data sent. But it's getting all them images together and getting people to. It depends how many come in. Well, my hope is a lot do, but I need to get this as simple as possible to make that.
I have an idea for you. We can talk to a couple of other people about it, but peopleforpeople.life. We can do it on that if you want, and collect all of the data on there, because it's already made, it's all there. Karen's one of the admin, I'm one of the admin. We can it's a matter of sending the image in, sending the coordinates and place where it's been taken, and the time and what you're shooting, and that's probably all you need. Yeah, I mean, even if people do a similar thing to like what Stan Smith's doing with the moon, right, where they upload a video to YouTube, the information is on there, the information that's pertinent enough that, and then people can glean it from that and take it away from there,
But then we could time a shot where we're all looking at the plough at the same time, all around the world, and shoot it, and then compare that and all the images.
Yeah.
And all the reference points together out of a set field of view. We can compare it and contrast them, and then work out where we are. And if there is differences, why they're different. So it's just having a uniform sample.
Similar to what I've thought of as well, actually. But I mean, I think we're all thinking along the same lines, more or less. It's, in a sense, reverse geometry, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's using a field of view to measure, because you could use this to measure an aeroplane. If you know how long the aeroplane is, you can set it, work out how much of that it should fill, and then you can measure, as a plane comes over, look down it and say, well, it's hitting them 2 marks, that's how far away it is. So you just have to work out how far back from the plane to put the markers. Do you get that? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
an airplane, that's 1,000 foot long, and it's taking up that much room in there. It's 20 miles away, 30 miles away, 40 miles away, and you can put gauges on this to show how far away it is. So you could use this in quite a few things. We could work out how either the planes are flying.
Yeah, you are sort of making it a lot more simple than it actually is, in a sense, because it can be a lot more trickier than that. Chris.
I understand that. So that's what I'm trying to put across as simple as possible, and then people can go, right, this is complicated. We need to work together to work it out. So yeah, getting a camera to work on that and set it, and knowing how a camera works properly and where it actually takes the image. Is it on the sensor at the end of the lens? Where do we need to measure for? And where to put and mount? So we're getting a set. Because if you mount a P900 on there and zoom in, then the lens comes out. So we need to figure out a way of putting a P900 on here and having a set field of view through it, and the settings people need to put it on. So I think we get. Pardon?
That people. I think that's the bit that people wanted to understand, was maybe the field of view bit of how you were going to get the pictures. You've already explained it, so that if it's there, it's 20 miles. If it's there, it's 30 miles. So that you get an idea.
Right. Yeah. I thought that might be what we were doing.
Yeah.
If the stars are a trillion miles away, everyone will see the same. But if the stars are close, you'll get a field of view seeing that. And then if the field of view is closer, you'll see that.
Yeah, you'll get some parallax, won't you, if they're closer?
Well, if they're all projected onto one screen, you might, you'll find some parallax. But if it's on a screen, it won't be parallax. It'd be like looking at the piece of glass you mentioned before at an angle. You'll just see the stars squashing together a bit. Do you understand what I mean? So you'd be looking like that, but it's still projected onto that screen, but you're looking at it at a different angle. There's no actual parallax. It's just the screen. You look at the side of the screen of the pictures instead of the front. Because I think it's a good thing. Yeah. So you're not actually looking at stars like that dotted about. They're all projected onto a screen or a series of screens. I think it's just, there's millions of flat earthers that can put data into it. Obviously, we're going to get some bogus stuff, but that's easy to knock out and work out.
Asking Mike, he's there. Mike, what do you think of what Chris is just saying there?
Well, I'm for any test of any type, and I think it's a great idea. The only thing is, in the past, when we've tried to triangulate or track or find out these things like Spider Core and Dr. Zach, he had a team with the sun. We find that not only are these lights wave frequencies through a field that's constantly changing, it gives us light projection depending on where you're standing on the field differently. That's why the moon flips 180 degrees in the south, and same with sunspots, they'll flip in the south, just simply because the other half of the earth is covered in a negative magnetic field. So I'm hoping that Chris we don't occur some of these same issues that we've had in the past, tracking something that it may not be trackable as a physical object. But I'm all for the test. I think it's a great idea.
Well, we're not actually tracking it. We're just taking images from different locations of the same.
Right. And like I said, in the past, we've had issues just simply by the way light behaves from above. That's the only thing. But if we can get anything out of this, man, all for it.
Well, we'd have to agree what set of stars to shoot. What's best to take an image of for people. So, sorry?
I said the Big Dipper.
The Big Dipper. Yes, we'll do the Big Dipper first, Karen. So we might work out why the Big Dipper's moving around your house so strangely.
Yeah, I think it moves around all of our houses if we in the UK. It must do roughly. If you looked up and were watching it. Roxanne said that she'd started to look at the Big Dipper. You just got to start looking where the Big Dipper is and just watch what it does. And, you know, like for me, I stayed up quite a few nights, but like other people, you know, just get up in the middle of the night, go to the loo, check where it is in the sky. Just keep checking. You'll see it does different things and it goes around, not round, around. It bends and goes through corners. As far as, I mean, it's an interesting, because they say it's not a constellation, which is weird because these stars travel together. And then what it does is it comes in, it kind of goes south to north, then it goes west to east, then it goes north to south, and then it goes east to west. And it turns round and it turns round. It doesn't go like in a circle, it turns round, it does things. And on the right hand side of my house, it just goes right up in the sky and does all this twisting around, and then yeah.
I'm just trying to find a program that you could use.
You won't find people saying that it does all that, and you know. Anyway, Big Dipper's a good one, but yeah, do whatever you want. It's your experiment.
No, I'm giving it to everybody. Well, you can get an app to do time lapse photography on your mobile phones. And you can set it up in the window, just alter the settings, and just put it in the window and shoot the stars going past and doing strange things all night. So that might be a way of looking at and finding out what's happening with that. I've actually just got another phone to have a go at doing that. I've just put the program on it. I can't remember what the program's called. Just do a time lapse of the sky and just see what is happening. So see what that comes up with. But I'm just hoping people pick up on this. I'll get this simple field of view set up and made, do a little video to show how to make it and what it does. And then we can show it on here, and hopefully people will pick it up, say, right, I'll do it. I'll get a website set up and an email and take it from there.
Can I just say?
Yeah, I put your
Astral,
I put your email. Astral, one sec. I've just put your email in the description of this link for people to get in touch with you.
Who? Me.
Oh, that was. Oh, I'm sorry. That was another one. Yes, I can put your email in the description.
No, I'll send you a separate email. I'll make another account especially for this because I get a lot of emails. So I'll make a specific one for this. So take it out and I'll make a specific one for this.
I was just going to say something that if it's possible, do it so that it's printable on A4, right? That people can print something off that you've self-made, you know, and then they can, you know, put their piece of wood here, or you know, like a kind of a little template, like where you get from IKEA and stuff, you know, because anything that can help people, anything that can help people, the better. And you're going to make sure you're getting standardized stuff. Then, you know, it's all the same. That's what we need.
Well, that's just a photo frame with the glass taken out. But so yeah, if that's standard, we could just use that as a 6x4 picture frame, and then that's your field of view.
Else, Chris, this isn't quite linked to your Sun and Moon. We were trying to do an experiment. We asked everybody for a while to look to see where their midday was, where the shadow of the sun was at midday.
Yeah. And
then we were trying to, because that's maybe how we could also work out which way we were all pointing, because it depended where your midday north was, where the shadows were going. We thought that might be another way of trying to work out where on the whole thing, where your midday sun is and those.
Yeah, well, if we've got a central point to send these photographs, then we can ask for other information as well. So while you're doing that, can you just tell us what time or what position the sun was up? And it's a central hub for data to come in. That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to say that, you know, the UTC as well, you know, if it's possible to put it as UTC. So it's all
what's UTC?
The Universal Time Code. So it's all the same or whatever, I believe.
Yeah. Or Greenwich Mean Time, what time the shot was taken, so I think. Is that what you mean? Yeah, well,
yeah, but it's just that when it comes to stars and anything you know, up in space, up in the skies or whatever, I think in general they say UTC, so we know exactly what time it's at. And if you look at, you know, timeanddate.com, they usually go off UTC there, as well as, you know, obviously plus minus.
We're asking people with P900s that haven't got a massive understanding of all the technical languages. So the simpler we make it, the better. So we do, if we say Greenwich Mean Time for everyone around the world, what time you shot it.
Yeah, well, also in saying that, there's a million people that don't understand what Greenwich Mean Time is.
Yeah, true.
Simple, and we'll explain to them, but I think using UTC is better in a sense, you know.
Right.
For some reason, it's going to be better.
Right. Okay. Because I don't know what I didn't know what UTC was, to be honest. So.
And every day.
So, well, it's just a matter of putting this idea out, working out together. I'm not trying to say I've got all the answers. I'm just putting this idea out for everyone to work on. That's why I've not put any results up.
All right, Chris. I got a P900.
Yeah.
I got a P900.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's millions of them about. It's only flat earthers that have got them.
so true. So true. Yeah, so I'll be doing the pictures. I'll get up to speed. My internet connection was horrible. I'm home now. I got Wi-Fi. It's been, you guys kept popping out. I was driving around. But I'll catch you up.
Could you just say, Mike,
Cheers
1 second. 2 seconds. I think Mike Helmick wants to leave. Mike,
you got to leave. Get out of here.
Yeah, man, I got to run. I got Free Energy's book. He explains why your dipper's doing what it does, the weird wobbly thing, Karen. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it until he releases the book. So hopefully he will soon. But anyways,
whose book did you say, Mike?
Free Energy.
Free
Energy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Looking forward to the book.
Yeah, the book is amazing. And so he explains everything that we observe and how it works. And but you know, is he 100% correct? That's the big question. Everything he says makes sense, but making sense doesn't make it right, as we all know from the globe Earth model we all grew up with, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, hey Chris, great ideas, man. And you know, I'm hoping people jump on board and get this done. And maybe we can figure some things out, right?
Right on. Yeah.
Get some things figured out. All right, everybody. I got to run.
Right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Mike.
Goodbye, everybody. Bye, Chris.
Cheers, Mike. Thank you.
All right.
God bless.
Mike.
God bless. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, so much going on, man. It's hard to keep up.
Flat Earth Dude, what are you saying? You carry on, Flat Earth Dude. Interrupted you.
No, I'm just, I want to do whatever Chris, he wants some pictures of something with the P900. I want to do it.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, right. I'll do it.
We'll sort out the details together.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a team working on people for people anywhere, or a group conversation you can have on there, or Karen?
What do you mean?
Mike,
on Facebook? Back of the Hangouts, you
I
can.
haven't been on there yet. I mean, I was on there, but I'm not signed up or haven't done anything.
Yeah, I suppose we can use Google Hangouts to sort of. I'll spend a couple of days working on this. I can email stuff about and then work it out together.
We've got we have a back chat which I can add you on Hangouts if you want to put stuff in there.
Sorry, say that again.
Sun and Moon have a back chat on Google Hangouts if you want to be added onto that one. I'm not sure if you are, but I can add you onto that one.
Yes, please. Yeah. So, well, we need some specialists as well on or is there anybody that understands how cameras work?
Stan's on that group. Dave Marsh is there, but I don't think Stan's on. But I mean, we can get him on there and talk to him a lot on Facebook anyway. Yeah, maybe the thing is to work out that field and then start just working out. It's very complicated, isn't it? It's not going to be done in 5 minutes. We've got a bit of time here.
Yeah.
Well done.
You keep breaking up for me.
I was saying the conception is here. Now the other bits have to be worked out.
Yeah, it won't take very long. Unfortunately, I'm away for 2 weeks come Monday, so I might be a bit quiet for 2 weeks. But I'll work out basic diagrams of what we're after, and then I can email it to you, and you can share the group and possibly work on it well. Yeah,
I'll get on it. I appreciate. I'll do if I can help in any way, man. I got a P900, so I can help.
Yeah. Well, anyone with a P900 will be able to do their bit just with 20 minutes worth of work, hopefully. Even a bit of cardboard, you cut out a square, stick it on a bit of wood, and away you go. That's what we want, really, as simple as that. But it's just a way of setting it out to be able to do it, and how to set the P900 up to shoot it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so, well, we'll get there. It'll take a couple of weeks, but we've been, 500 years in the waiting, so we can wait a bit longer.
Also, you can see that you are gathering interest when you've got Crrow coming on and Mike Helmick.
Yeah, I think it's gathering interest of the Globe guys and the Flat Earth guys, which I thought I was quite shocked by, and the amount of people who were saying this is a brilliant experiment who were fighting against Flat Earthers. They were trying to come on board with this. So if they come on board with it as well, trying to prove it's a ball, that'll be fantastic. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'll just wait for Roxanne to come back, because obviously I'll get her to explain something in a minute. But she's not. Oh, there's she coming back? Hey, there she is.
I'm just wondering how many experiments do we need to keep doing to to get this.
Well, we're looking.
It's like we're so far ahead on confirming that there is no curvature, and all this other stuff.
Right. But I like what Chris is doing, because it's something you can take out and show people.
Do yourself.
Really right. You can take it. They really get to see what's going on with their own eyes, And
loads of P900s going dusty because people have shot the stars, done everything with it, and what else to do. And it will give them an excuse to get it back out again and be excited about using it.
He might help. No, he might help. He's always out with his P900 and telescope and stuff. He might help this cause.
Yeah, well, I'll draw out some stuff on paperwork, and I'll email it to you, Karen, and then as a group we can do a hangout and just discuss it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and figure out how to do it properly.
Sounds good.
That's brilliant. What else would you like to say? Because it's kind of your hangout at the moment, isn't it?
It's my.
What else would you like to say? What else would you like to say?
You keep breaking up, Karen. I think this is a great opportunity to get everyone together on the same hymn sheet, giving the same information, grabbing them P900s and getting excited about. You feel like you're doing something. You're fighting the battle. You're putting your little bit in. It's like getting the aluminium cans for the war effort. They didn't use them; they threw them away, but everyone felt great doing it. But this is going to be something that we can use to find a way where we are, hopefully. So hopefully it'll ramp up a bit of excitement as well if we get it going. That's about all I'll say. So we'll get there.
Thank you, though, because obviously you also feel like you're doing something as well. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I've got to prove to my kids.
Did you hear?
So I've got to prove to my kids that the dad's not around the twist, so that's why I'm doing it mostly. So
you're not around the twist at all.
I know. No, I'm not. They still come and see me. The grandkids think.
Roxanne was there, but she's gone again now. Roxanne.
If we all shout together,
Roxanne. Just wait for her to come back, because obviously, there she is, Roxanne.
I heard you going, Roxanne, and I was like, that's my name. Hi, sorry.
I know.
So sorry.
In the house.
The doorbell went, and I thought it was John Smith Global, and I went and opened the door, and actually wasn't the door. So sorry about that. Yeah, we're anticipating the right
It wasn't a glove salesman, was it?
No, thank goodness.
Tell him to do one. Or otherwise, invite him in and say, sit down and let him sit exactly where we're sat now, opposite you. You're being lied to.
Guys, hold on, guys.
I can't hear a word of what anyone's saying. Just everything that's on the page.
Yeah. Right, sorry, guys.
That's okay. Roxanne, do you want to explain to everybody what we're going to do very shortly? You know, in the next, well, we've let's hang out with Chris, whoever's on the panel. Come back to the news. Roxanne will tell you.
Cool. So the amazing Karen is giving us the opportunity to come back on live on her channel after this hangout tonight with the amazing Chris UK, Jason Disbury, myself, John Spiff, Globli, and a range of, in fact, if I just bring it around here, let me just bring it, sorry, I'm just, guys, can you say hi to Karen?
Hi, Karen.
And the whole chat?
Hi, Karen.
And if I can just give you a bit of, bit louder, guys. Like
Hi, guys.
I've got over half a dozen globe deniers in my house just now, and we're waiting for the arrival of John Smith Globe Light and the fabulous show.
Dude, that's a
next half
awesome party going on.
Weekend in London, so we're going to Carnival, we're going to Speakers Corner, we're in the middle of Victoria's camp, which is Feast's camp. They've got camp next week as well, so we're going to smash it this weekend and do some amazing acts together before camp starts next week.
And Notting Hill Carnival as well.
Yeah, Notting Hill Carnival, Speakers Corner. So we've got loads to talk about, but the main deal.
Okay, you want to say they are on camera now, Roxanne? They are on camera.
Yeah,
So,
guys,
Roxanne, can you look around?
Say that again.
Everybody said hello, didn't they? Everybody say hello again and who you are.
Can you say hello again?
Are we on it?
Speak loud.
Guys, do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Yeah, go first.
Hi, guys. Come a bit closer so you can see me a bit better. All right.
I'm going to be.
Pleased to meet you. So yeah, my name's Mark. I'm my partner's Leslie Truth of Rushforth. And basically with us, I've been kind of not really into flat Earth as much though, but kind of been looking at it through Leslie's eyes. So he does all the research, comes to me, says, "Oh my God, have you seen this?" And then I've kind of gone away, digested it, and threw a load of questions back at him, as you can imagine. And that's kind of how we've been over the last couple of years. And recently, when he's been doing these activisms, I've started to go along and kind of support him as a partner more than I believe in this as an actual faith, flat Earth as a faith. So what with me is I kind of have been there, seen all these other people there kind of stood in corners thinking, I'm here supporting my partner as well, but I don't know what I'm doing here kind of thing. So for me, it was chatting to them, getting to know these partners and kind of like understanding like I've got these same issues as you with all these crazy people on
Mark mentioned wives and husbands.
Yeah, I'm just getting into that as well. So basically what we've done is we kind of had this little mini group together. We went out, had coffee, had a good chat, spoke about these issues, and we thought it'd be good to come up with a new concept of like the housewives of flat Earth. So while you've got like the housewives of Orange County, New York, Chester, probably London as well, we now have the flat Earth wives.
Wow.
Basically, and it's not just open to women and husbands as well, and partners and everyone, where we kind of can come together in a small group, a community, and say, I really don't understand this. My partner's going on about this.
Discussing your own issues.
Discussing our own issues as a small
Venting your own
group and
stuff.
venting it out. And we
speaking about
found,
whatever he wants.
even today, after meeting Roxanne and even Roxanne's partner as well, some of the kind of same conversations come out and you think, God, I've had the same thing. I've got the same thing as you for God knows how long. And now I'm not on my own. There is other people out there like me. So that's kind of how we're going at the moment. We're setting it up slowly. And that's me, really. Leave you in peace, shall I?
Oh, you said that, Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you explaining
that's
it.
where
Thank
we're at the moment, and that's where we're going, hopefully. And I'm here to support everyone, pretty much. Next.
You can't go wrong with that.
You.
Good, man. Thanks.
Do you want me to swap sides?
Yes, I'm doing it.
Yeah. We'll all go in that chair.
Okay.
That's the chair.
Is this the hot seat? Yeah.
The hot seat. That's the hot seat.
Right. I'm Tom Wilkinson.
Tommy.
I'm a truther. I don't like that title really. Basically, I'm just a independent researcher, an observer. I analyse my reality and every information I come across. Really, you can find me on Twitter as Tom Wilkinson or at Ask Questions Now. Instagram, YouTube, Disputable Reality, and Facebook, Tom Wilkinson. So yeah, and you'll see what I'm about on all there. Really.
Nice.
Yeah, and you're an activist as well, aren't you? You go out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
yeah, I'm heavily involved in the activism. Like, I love it. Can't wait for Speaker's Corner and Nottingham. Yeah, I can't even say that. Tongue twister. Not
tongue twister.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try and say that. But, yeah.
well, thank you, Tom. Who's next then?
Hi, Karen. Hi, guys.
Hey,
You're-
we lost your camera. We lost your camera.
Hey, Chris.
Can't
You're right
see
there,
you,
fella. Interesting chat about your new experiments and everything. Yeah, I need to proper watch it because, as I said, we've been at camp this last week, so I've not had a chance to catch up on social media, which again has been absolutely brilliant. Because I tell you what, looking from the Matrix for at least a few days does your mind a world of good, guys. I could recommend that to anybody.
Yeah, unplugging.
Absolutely, we all need to do that from time to time, and we all need to recharge our batteries because we give so much energy and so much time to this cause. It's like we've, as well as the camps in between and meeting up individually, and you know, keeping the momentum going. We as an activism team, we've been going constantly for over 12 months now, and it's, you know, the amount of time that we've put into this has been outstanding, and the message that we've got out there as well is it's now gone worldwide, you know, and it's people that are within the activism team specifically. I don't think they realise and fully understand just how much of a fantastic job that they've done. I mean, seriously, it's mind-boggling.
Britain's leading the way.
Together, we are better.
Sorry, say that again, Karen.
Together, all of us together. What we make together.
Of course, because look, we're all activists, right, in our own right. Whether you hit the streets, whether you set a camp up and bring people to that with like-minded souls, it's all activism. You know, we're being active in what we're doing and we're keeping up that momentum. And that momentum can't stop. We've paved the way. We need to show our future generations we are the last chosen ones as such. I don't want to say that because that's a bit of arrogance, but we are the last chosen ones that are having to pass this information on and keep that carrying forward. So us guys, we're outstanding. All of us are outstanding. All of us, regardless of what community you come
We
from.
quite a lot, don't we? Because a lot of our friends and family don't believe us and think we're insane. So yeah, and we keep going because we know it's the truth.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Can I just ask?
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but it's did anyone see the thing on TV? What channel was it on? Aaron was on it. Did you see it?
How long ago was this though?
Just the other day. I mean, it's this.
We've camp, mate. That's the thing. We've been
Comedy
the world for 5
Comedy
days.
Comedy Central.
All right.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, obviously, anybody going on any program like that, think twice about going on one of those programs because seriously, you know, you're going to get slated. I put it in the Facebook page. I don't know if Karen can. I don't know. Let me see if I can find the name of the link.
Drop the link
Yeah,
in the
put it on
chat, man.
something. Yeah, put it in the chat. Anyway, thank you so much. And have a great day.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, and cheers for that, guys. Keep up the good work, all of you. Keep up the good work.
All right, guys, you're doing great. Wow.
Next one. Next one. Hey.
Just I know these lovely people from Speaker's Corner. Really, we met them there, and then we're sort of we've just been on a camp, and it's sort of halfway through. We're going to be going to speakers on Sunday, and a bit of Flat Earth Festival. Roxanne, yeah.
Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah,
We're
so
going Notting Hill
Notting Hill
Carnival
Carnival.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun. And then we're back at the camp for another week with some of the others and some new people as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your name?
Lee
Oh,
Lee
what was-
Earl.
Hello, Lee.
Karen, this is the first time Lee's been on camera. He's a little bit nervous about being on
That's
camera,
right,
but
yeah,
he was
yeah.
up for coming on.
Oh,
We're supporting him all the way to be on camera. He's seen Chris before. He knows Chris UK. Chris is a friend. Huh? What did you say, Chris?
I've seen it on camera loads of times. I'm doing activism on Speaker's Corner. Brilliant.
I see it at the convention, innit? I think I was at the convention as well, the Flat Earth convention.
Yeah,
That's
brilliant.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Cool. All right, next one.
Next.
Oh, thank you, Lee. Next one. Hey, Victoria.
Hi. Hi, panel.
Hello, my darling.
Hi.
How
there.
are you?
Cheers.
Right, you want me to talk now, don't you? Yeah, well, basically, my thing is going to be about
You don't have to talk if you don't want.
no, I have to. The boil inside me will explode if I don't. It's one of them things. Yeah, basically, I'm sorry, I've just had a little drink because basically we've just done camp and it's just been a little bit of relaxation. So you have to bear with me. But yeah, we've done the first week, 6 days, biggest camp we've ever done. I don't know about on Earth, possibly Flat Earth camp. It could be the longest one so far, 6 days. The ones that have done previous for the past 2 years, the most they've lasted is 4 days. So we've done 6. And then we was going to do 2 weeks, but we weren't able to get the weekend in between because the campsite was booked up, but this campsite was awesome. So we decided to stick with the same one and do the second week as we're going to do from Monday onwards. So basically, this week has gone amazing. We've met some absolutely beautiful, amazing Flat Earth open souls. We actually had one guy at camp who wasn't a Flat Earther, adamant he'll never be a Flat Earther. I Flat Earthed him for 4 hours on the first night. Then Tom jumped in, did his session, and the next day Colin did his session and handed out a leaflet to him. And he looked at the leaflet after having to ingest all the stuff what we've been saying, and he went, "Well, that can't be right, and that can't be right." And Colin went, "Yeah, exactly. And you've got to look into it." And he's gone away from camp going, I'm going to look into it. So that was like an unknown. And at the end of the day, all we've said is, as long as you can be open to us being us and you being you, and not be like, are we getting, when we're doing the activism, like angry or nasty or ridiculing and stuff like that, then you're more than welcome to camp. So from next week onwards, on the Monday, basically, we've got a whole set of new people plus a few of the skeletal crew. I'm calling them the skeletal crew because we've been the backbone of the whole camp. We've got all these new people coming. We've got new acts coming on. We've got conscious lyricists. We've got another new speaker. Last week we had Dave Moore, allegedly Dave, all week. He said all week. He was absolutely awesome. He did activism in Brighton. He's helped us all individually. We did it very informally, we were sitting around the campfire and he speaks to us not only individually but as in a group setting. And instead of us even standing up and doing a speech and we were all looking at him like we're in a schooling situation, we didn't do that. We literally just, because I said, will you come and do talks like I've done to the ones who were speaking? And he said yes, of course. And I was imagining a formal process where your speaker's there and your audience is there. And what happened was he came in, sat down, chilled out with us, and just started talking and would ask him questions, and it just flowed organically, and it was beautiful. And it was so, not saying that the formal stuff is bad, it's great, but it was so nice just for it to just roll with what it did. And the other day, I said to him, right, well, should we do a bit of a formal one now? And he said, you know what, I'll do whatever. And I said, well, we've actually covered all the topics what you was going to cover. And we're still going on. We're still delving back into the things what you said, and we're all thinking new things as well.
It happened organically.
Yeah,
it was
and
completely organic.
It was beautiful, and the conversations what we've had around that campfire. Well, you can imagine they blew everyone's minds at times. Do you know what I mean? And this week we've got like a new set of souls coming, so it's going to be another conversation, more stuff. Because the good thing about being with flat earthers is we've been through most, if not all, as many of the other truths as possible, and we're still, we're still everyday people, and we've got this in common as well. So it's just like awesome because you can just be yourself, and that's what we're missing in the society: being yourself.
Just mention that family in the new camp, they've never been camping before.
We've had a couple. Yeah. We've had a few people. We had a family come with us. Are you talking about Terry and Mel?
Terry and Mel, yeah.
Terry and Mel, right? Awesome, absolutely awesome people. Everyone who came to camp, thank you so much. You made it what it was. You're all characters in your own right, and you're all awesome people and beautiful people. And basically, Terry and Mel came. Never been camping before, just got a set of camping gear, turned up with the kids, and we had other people who were supposed to turn up with kids and they never showed up. So we had a few cancellations, we had a few others who came last minute thing. But hang on, I'm just doing Terry and Mel and then we'll do.
But by the end of it.
So Terry and Mel, basically, awesome people. And what was your...
By the end of it, it was like
we'd known them forever.
We've seen them blossom in front of our eyes.
Yeah, there was a bit anxious at first, and there was a bit standoffishy, and then they came in, and then before you knew it, they just slotted in and loved it, and just loved being around everybody who they could just relate to and like be themselves with. And what do you say, Mark?
So the children at camp as well. So the Mel's 2 boys and 1 girl that came to camp, they were really asking lots of good questions. Lots of really good questions about, but the earth's round, our teacher tells us this. So we were giving them examples of exactly how you can tell, looking at a ball, physically put a bottle of water over a spinning ball and see it stick to it. And the kids, you can see their actual cogs turning in the mind. And we even had 1 girl, I think she was about 12, 13, how old was she? Sienna.
Coming up 12, yeah.
Coming up 12. She was really clued up. She actually got really friendly with another group of children who were playing in the farmers' fields, and we were all sat round the table, and next minute, she come running over. She was like, "They don't believe me. None of the kids believe me that we live on the flat.
I've come to get a flyer.
I'm come to get a flyer." And she rushed past us all, and we were like, looking. And she came out with a bunch of flyers that we'd given her. I gave her one earlier when we were explaining things to her, and she was literally there running back through the field. I'm going to tell them, I'm going to show them this. And she was off. The passion in that is unreal. And I think that's from today, the children, because they don't get this information, they're not around like-minded people like us here today on the phone and dialing in as well.
Yeah.
They don't get this knowledge, and by the time they get to our age, it takes how long? About twice as long to retain stuff.
And to get out of it,
not
to
longer,
break it.
To break it.
We basically like...
So just coming back to the last point there about the children as well. At camp, it's been great because we have egg and spoon races with the kids as well.
Hay bale rolling.
Hay bale rolling, literally rolling... half a ton bale down hills and stuff, and it's just been a great time. This is my 3rd camp, and it's just been absolutely amazing. I think everyone should come, even if it's just for 1 night, 1 day.
Just come and experience it.
Just come and experience it. I think we're coming back later on for a chat, back on later on, and hopefully I can explain to you my first experience of my first camp.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. I thought I was going to be kidnapped in a field, stuck in a boot for 8 weeks before I went, but we'll come back to that later, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, basically, in a nutshell, it's so far going awesome. And I want to say that anyone who wants to come to camp, who can come to Brighton, get in touch with myself or Roxanne, and we'll give you the details of where to come to, because we have still got space. Even though we've got quite a lot coming, we've still got some space left, because we want to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. And yeah, that's it really. That's it.
We're waiting for the arrival of John Smith, Globelite, and Matteo, who's going to come down weekend. He should be here probably in the next 15-20 minutes.
Hey. Roxanne, there was someone on the sofa that we haven't said hello to.
Oh, Colin, he didn't want to
Colin,
speak.
you're trying to get under the radar. All right,
I saw him. I saw him.
He's actually an extremely high-ranking VIP amongst human
He's
beings that we
been
know.
from, right, I'll tell you this, Colin has been... Colin, no.
We'll Photoshop him.
Just leave it there.
That's it. Okay.
Listen.
Say hi, Colin.
Listen. Colin, right?
Yeah, all right.
Colin basically has been with myself and Harry and two others, which was Matt Donnelly and also a guy called Stuart. And basically, we was apparently the first group that did the flat Earth activism in the UK. And I was honoured to be part of that. And it actually, I was nervous at first. I'm sure the others were. And every time, I'm sure everyone joins activism for the first time, are a bit nervous because they don't know what to expect. But when you go in there and these people just come over to you, it just comes naturally to you. And even as shy as you are, you'll get some people who come to the shy ones. Some people want to see the ones that are a bit more flamboyant and all the rest of it. I'm not talking about myself, like, but you know,
people's confidence build over time.
Yeah, and it built. Not only does it build over time, but you just can't help but interact with when people come towards you because you've not invaded their space. They've come into you. They've come to you. They've seen the sign. They've read it, and they've got questions. And that's like, even if they don't agree, they're still approaching you. And I think that's why the activism in the way that we're doing is the way forward, because protesting, shoving it in people's faces, all well and good, but then people have a reaction. When I'm walking through town and someone's giving out leaflets, I do not want to grab them because it's just something, it's all rubbish and nothing. I might grab them and shove it in the bin. Whereas if you go up to someone, you see something that you're interested in, and then you take a leaflet, then you're more likely to go and ingest it. Yeah, because you've come to them. Yeah. So anyway, Colin is one of the first guys. So that's where I was meant to go with that.
I could say hi, Karen.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Colin
Nice to meet you.
Colin drove a bunch of the gang up from the camp today, and Colin drove a bunch of the camp from the north of England down to camp in the first place.
Yeah, he's a star.
And can I be honest? When we went to Portsmouth and we went to Speaker's Corner together as well, Colin made a monumental effort to make sure that there was a vehicle to come down in. And that was, listen, it's stuff that goes on behind the scenes, yeah? The amount of understanding and appreciation and a support that comes from these individuals' family members, yeah? The amount of compromising, the amount
you know
of
what? And
bending over backwards to accommodate.
No,
one's
yeah,
loved
I was
ones.
just going to say that.
it's very
Listen, no,
important,
but Rox,
you know?
this includes Rox, right? And she's too good at giving out love to everyone else and not taking it herself. Like, we have literally dropped on her. And last weekend, there was a bit of a kerfuffle with the camp at the last minute, and we found out that we might not be able to go.
Hello? No.
I and she straight away offered a house up to us and said we could stay here, and we was on our way here, and then we found out the would just go, and it all sorted itself out in the end. But I want to say, like, Rox and every one of you, like, you know, what we've got, we give. And, you know, end of story. We give.
Including Chris as well.
Yeah. I'm not saying any of you don't do the same. I'm just saying that I know these people and they've dropped everything just to provide and accept us and say thank you.
Colin put Chris and you guys up to do the first presentation, right? Chris?
Yeah, man.
Chris, didn't you do the first presentation at Colin's Colin's garden?
In Colin's garden.
Any of you that wasn't the got reintroduced to the group. So big thank you, Colin.
Colin, that's what you are.
He's
You've been
not-
here from
he's-
day
No,
one.
you did an
skeletal
absolute
Chris.
Chris, you did an absolutely awesome presentation in Colin's garden. I watched the content of that myself. That was like
and we all
monumental
kipped
stuff.
over and we all
Yeah,
kipped
man.
over, and you know, they did a lovely meal and we had a lovely evening. It was awesome. And that's the hospitality. When you get involved with one-to-one with Flat Earthers, it's all right online. The online thing is it needs to be, because you're reaching the masses online and it has to be done. But when you get to do the one-to-one, people, like, you know, we connect because we connect more we connect online. I'm not saying there's no connection, because we can have amazing connection online.
Connection there.
In person, you've got the whole shebang. And we've basically, like, as a group, like, we've over time we've just become like not only best friends, but become like a family. The family that you've chosen.
Well, can I add on to that there, Victoria? Well said. I agree with you 100%.
Thank you.
It's as if we have a special connection when you meet another person who's doing the same thing, you know. Because I've met a couple over here, only a couple, and like you say, it's just something electric when you actually meet someone. You understand that they understand what you're talking about, you know, that you're both exactly on the same wavelength. There's no questions like, well, how does that work? Well, how does that work then? Well, what about the sun and the moon doing this? And how does it go dark at night? And, you know. Yeah. Yeah. It's just easy. I love it.
Just touching on a point.
Can I say something?
Point there. It's like, I think the approach that
Patricia, one second. Oh, Patricia, just say something. Patricia, go on. Patricia?
I just want to say hi to everyone.
Hello, Patricia.
Especially Tom.
Hi, Patricia.
I miss you, Tom.
You all right?
How you doing? Fantastic to see you.
To hear your voice as well. I
so much on YouTube.
Love you, Patricia.
Yeah, sorry, Leslie.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, I was just about to say
something. Can you just?
I love you all.
Chris, want to say?
Tom and Patricia.
Love you too.
Love you too, Patricia.
Love you too, Pat.
Sorry, Chris, did you want to say something, mate?
I did. Sorry.
You forgot.
I forgot what you say.
Let's interject and you think on your thoughts.
So is it 007?
Yeah.
007 made a really good point there, and I think it's about when you meet people that are on the same journey as you, it's like a spark instantly happens, right? But I think the way that we need to be attacking this whole thing is that we need to be openly asking people, especially the people that challenge us, what is your knowledge? What is your current knowledge on this subject? We just go straight in and start shouting all that. It's like you could be patronizing people, you know what I mean? Things like that. So we need to attack it from a different approach and go, what do you know about this?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Les. And I also want to say that basically we also need to try and find a way in sometimes, because the flat earth sometimes isn't the way in, because some people will just automatically knee-jerk reaction. We know we've had it ourselves and other people have straight away against it. But everyone can find common ground on something. And yeah, it is judging people from your first instincts or your first reactions, and you might get it wrong. But sometimes if you listen to your gut, you get it right. Yeah. And like, we can go in, there's so many ways in, go into government corruption. Like, everyone can agree on government corruption. There's so many other alleys that you can go in, and then you go, well, we've done this and blah, blah, blah. And you find, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And then you go on to something else, and maybe you can judge if they're going to agree with that. And then you go, well, then I come on to all these other stuff and this. Do you know what? People.
Yeah.
Because when we're posting our stuff, we're doing our videos, unless you're either into it with the flat earth stuff, or you wanting to debunk it, then, or you wanting to ridicule it, you're not going to watch it. You're not going to watch it.
What do you guys think about that?
Can I just add something there, please?
Yeah,
I love your point. It's valid as well, and it's true. Sometimes we can shock people. We are so diluted by this because we've been doing it for a while now. We're so diluted by it that it doesn't affect us anymore. We know all the answers. We know most of the questions they're going to come with. Yeah, what about this? What about we know the answers. Our problem is that we're so direct. We're abrupt. In fact, I pissed someone off the other day. I'm ashamed that I did, because now I've got kind of a reputation as some sort of a crazy guy who believes that the Earth's flat.
Yeah, sometimes, man.
And I don't. Yeah, it's backfired on me, that has, because it's only like, I don't know, a small community of people, a small group of people, like 10 people or so. But good or bad, it doesn't matter. They're talking about it, right? I mean, I'm ashamed that I've gone away from there and they've pissed me off, kind of thing. Get away! I don't want to talk to you, otherwise I'm going to phone the police. They've said to me, right? I mean,
no way.
Seriously, this is what she said.
quickly.
So anyway, I'm not going to cause any troubles or anything like that. I've said my point.
All the police man has a different opinion of me.
The problem was I wasn't even talking to that lady. I was talking to a gentleman, some guy about the stars, when she suddenly attacked me about being a flat earther. I thought, oh God, man, I'm out of here, right? So anyway, we need to be careful, but it's true what you say. How can we go about it? I mean, figuring how, what that person is like. Okay, it's easier said than done sometimes, because we can't all be a good judge of someone's character. They look good.
Basically, mate, right, what we found, well, I've found personally, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself. And when I've been on the streets, because I've done ridiculous amounts of activism now over the country. And when they come over, some people seem very interested in the flat earth stuff, and that's, go straight in for it then. But then others, I always ask them, what do you think? That's my first question I ask people. What do you think of this? Or what do you think? And then their answer and the way that they, the way that they're acting with the body language and the way that they're sometimes dressed as well, you can sort of make a judgment from their answer and them three key components. And then you can go into it. And like when they say, I don't know, or I don't really care either way, then I go into the money situation and the thing that like we're all batteries, we're all like disposable batteries and the elite. And they get that. They get that, man. They get it. And then you go into these elites are using these lies to control us. And then you go into these elites have put us in a prison system. Then you go into this prison system is literally a ball earth.
And then they're walking off because it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm joking now. But then they're walking off because it's way too much information in one go.
No, man, honestly, I did it only the other day. I went through that whole scenario what I've just played to you there. It doesn't work for everybody. That's what I'm saying. You've got to judge it. And yeah, you sometimes judge it wrong when you get a bit of animosity and stuff. Sometimes you don't have a chance to even say anything. You've got someone jumping in your face and saying, you are stupid, which of us.
I think one thing that we can all learn from, and that's like looking at activists like you, like John Smith, like Roxanne. I love looking at John Smith. His videos are awesome because you get real people, real reactions, and you can see exactly what's happening, So we can more or less fine tune our, our spiel or whatever it is you want to call it, Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just saying it is. You're dead right. Yeah. Something repetitive in it as well, and it gets a bit monotonous, and you have to try and mix it up a bit just to make it a bit more.
I want to say something. If it wasn't for John Smith, Globe Lives, Harry, going out and doing that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm going to do tonight. Go out to Hollywood Boulevard. I mean, that
inspiration.
It's been so inspirational, and it helped me deal with the questions. I'm dealing with the questions that come up. Well, what about this? What about the ice wall? What, it really helped me kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's a good way, to deal with it.
Confidence, doesn't it? Seeing someone do it before you.
Yes.
Someone, like, even if like your reactions are this and the other, you've got like at least a little intro, at least a little something to go through. Hey, the man himself walked in the room like we're talking about. He must have burning ears.
Yeah, there you go. Just talking.
You literally couldn't make it up. We've just walked in the door now.
Speak of the dude.
I'll tell you what, we'll put it on mute for a few seconds just because
mute it up.
We're meeting for the first time, so just give us a few seconds,
yeah.
So we
that's awesome. That was awesome.
Conclude this hangout.
What a crazy Friday night. Fridays are really good for you, Karen. I don't know how you do it.
I was going to say, Flat Earth Dude, it's also brilliant when you get out because you get the answers. That's the most important thing. You get in the answers, because any kind of, obstacle that a glober or, a non-believer is going to throw at you, you're going to get the answers from it. Not just you, but all of us are watching, so respect, brother. I love it. It's good stuff. Hollywood Boulevard, I love it.
It's good stuff, man. And it gave me confidence. Okay, I can go do this. And Hollywood's perfect because it's just kind of weirdos anyway. So I just fit right in.
Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to end this hangout shortly because we're coming back with Globe Lies. We
Start a new one.
Okay.
Start a new one.
Roxanne, we're coming to go out today. Hopefully, get to Ireland and other countries.
Harry, say hi. Hold on, he's here now. He's in the house.
Harry.
Hey. Hey, Harry.
He's just had an epic. How many hours? You've been in the car for hours. He's just walked in the door.
Chris. So, I can't. Astral.
Flat Earth
Dude.
Patricia House.
Patricia.
Good to see you, man.
Hey, hello.
Grab a beer and relax, man.
Grab a beer. There's a Carlsberg in the fridge for you, my darling. Yeah? We're going to get ourselves set up. Mateo,
Yeah,
are you all right?
we're coming back
to do that. Mateo's just arrived with Harry. So we've all just met Mateo for the first time as well. This is Mateo. Say hi, everyone.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm good. We were listening to you guys while we were driving here. It's nice to be part of it.
It's pretty cool, man. You guys are all smiles. I love it.
It's a good feeling, guys. I'm gonna. You can finish off speaking, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Back in a minute. Anyway, I've got to set up the other hangout, haven't I? So, thanks, Roxanne. We'll be back with you in a minute.
All right. I'm just smiling. It's so amazing. It's so awesome. Brilliant. Roxanne kicks ass.
Right?
Kick ass, Roxanne. She rocks. She rocks. Rocks. All right. I'll mute now. I'm just so pumped up. That got me pumped up for tonight, man. That did it. Thank you. I'm ready to go now.
Yeah. Anyway, it's coming back, and hopefully we'll all be back on the next hangout. But Chris, to end this one, because it's your hangout, the message again, one more time.
The message, well, we need to work together and put this idea to good use. Get our P900s out, dust them off, and let's get some information we can use to prove where we are. That's all. That's it.
Hey, and thank you. I hope you enjoyed that, because that was really nice that Crow came on, wasn't it, as well?
It was brilliant. Yeah, it just flowed. It was really nice, Ango. Excellent.
Oh, it was excellent. I missed some of it, but I'll go back and watch it. And Chris, love what you're doing. Great, simple stuff. Let's keep it simple, man. And
that's correct. Simple, better.
And keep getting the word out, man. That's all we can do. It's one day at a time, man.
Hey, and to everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for being here.
To the chat, man. They were kicking ass in the chat, man. Nimble Horse and Leah and Martin Ledecky in there.
Hi guys.
Super Leads.
Jason of the Discord. Dave, Stevie.
You guys are awesome in the chat. Chat rocks.
Sorry, I've not seen it.
Just to say, I'm back in a minute on another hangout to talk with John Smith Globe Lies, who's actually sitting in Roxanne's house now. Thank you so much, everybody on the panel, for this hangout, and to the chat room. Hopefully, see you all in half an hour.
Sounds good. All right, Chris, Astral, Patricia, Crow, Roxanne, everybody. Love you guys. Love you guys.
Love you all. Thanks a lot, everybody.